Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. For context's sake, I never really watched the first part of the Puss in Boots movie and only came to know of his characterization and existence through the Shrek series. However, when I saw the trailer for the recent Puss in Boots movie, I couldn't help but to give this character a starting chance. And not gonna lie, this movie got me hooked in all sorts of ways, not only through its clean and beautiful animation, but also the message that the film is trying to tell to its audience. And through this, it has landed itself as one of my favorite animation films that I've ever seen. One of the most pinnacle moments I've experienced in this film is the characterization of death, where its overarching presence echoes throughout the entirety of the movie, and it sort of has an impact on Puss as a character. So in today's video, I'll be talking more on the lesson of mortality that the film presents through the motivation of death as a character and the effects that it has on Puss's character. But don't worry, I'll start the video off spoiler free and give you guys a warning once I start getting into the deeper aspects of the film. Alright, without further ado, let's start off with the basic premise of the story.
I am Puss!
The general plot of this film is that Puss has returned to his old life of being a hero that is loved by the people he saved. He thinks that he is living his best life where he is at the top of his game, going town to town, partying, and saving the lives of people who are in need. However, one of his heroic acts ultimately resulted in him dying in the process, to which he realizes that he was down to his last life. This takes inspiration from the general knowledge and conception that cats have 9 lives, with Puss already used up 8 of those lives. Puss brushes this off as he thinks that he is strong enough to be able to laugh in the face of death himself. Surely enough, death has come for Puss in the form of a wolf that continuously stalks and hunts Puss down wherever he goes. This ultimately sets up Puss on an adventure to acquire the wishing star to be able to regain all of his life back with the help of his friends, new and old. Surprisingly, this movie portrays a hefty message towards its audience, one that everyone should come to understand and know as they age, which is the significance of life and the concept of mortality. As mentioned before, Puss was on his last life as he wasted the previous 8 lives that he had to begin with. But even with this knowledge, he still takes up the mindset that he will persevere through everything, even death itself. It teaches us about the act of appreciating our life because unlike us, cats like Puss have the luxury of living multiple lives before their passing, whilst we do not have that luxury since we only have 1 life to live. Knowing this, it leaves him with the decision to either live his life to the fullest or let it all go to waste in his strive towards his quote-unquote best life. Now that we understand the general context of the film, I want to dive deeper into one of the most significant characters in the movie, one that drives Puss into development as a character, that being Death the Wolf.
Well, if it isn't Puss in Boots himself.
Okay, so this is the part where I'll be going into the depths of characterization of the film, so beware of spoilers and proceed with caution. You have been warned. This is Death. Now tell me that his design does not scream badassery to you. The color palette of black all over his body with a single pair of crimson eyes that accentuates the aura of a scary villain. With aesthetics and design aside, he plays a major role in this film because he induces immense fear in Puss that constantly reverberates throughout the entirety of the film, that serves as a reminder that death literally is coming for his life. You may ask, where does this fear come from? It's because of Puss's encounter with death whilst knowing that his demise is on his tail. Though Puss tries to get the better of his opponent, death evidently overpowers him and causes Puss to cower in fear of losing his only life that he had yet to live. Bleeding, feared to the point where all his fur is standing and his heartbeat quickening by the second. The only option he has is to flee. This fear of death is so significant for Puss when even the iconic whistle of death shakes him to his very core, leading to the option of running away to avoid the loss of his only life. When you first see Death as a character, your mind would most likely think of him as an overarching villain that wants nothing more than to kill the main protagonist of the story. This is true to a certain extent, but there is a reason behind the actions that he is enacting. Though pursuing Puss was his primary objective, his secondary objective was to teach Puss the significance of his life, and this is made evident in one of the lines he said during one of his encounters with Puss.
You didn't even notice me because Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death, right? But you're not laughing now. You know, I'm not a cat person. I find the very idea of 9 lives absurd.
To further explain Death's motives is to understand the significance of life and the concept of mortality. The definition of mortality represents the state of being subjected to death, and this is mostly prevalent in individuals who are close to meeting their end or demise. This comes into close correlation with the overall concept of life, where its significance is heavily accentuated considering that we, as humans and most living beings, only have the capability to live once, whereas Puss has 9 lives to live rather than 1. As a matter of fact, it is even stated that Death finds the idea of 9 lives preposterous because of our general conception that all living things have only 1 life. With only 1 life to live, people tend to live their life to the fullest of their abilities to prevent the feeling of regret when death comes for them later in life, and to value the steps taken that made you who you are today. If an individual were to be blessed with so many chances to live over and over again, they will surely cherish the lives that they were given and seize the opportunity given to them to be able to better themselves in any sorts of way, which in the case of this movie is the realization on the significance of life and the concept of mortality, but Puss failed to do so at the end. It also leaves people the impression that life should not be taken for granted, meaning that they should properly notice and value the special traits or things that in reality are of immense value in the broad scheme of our existence, because that's all that is guaranteed to us. We are bound by the limited longevity of our life to the point where we have no choice but to appreciate and value the little things that life brings. This is the reason as to why Death is hunting Puss down, because he failed to value the first 8 of his lives that he already had. It is because of Puss's negligence to see the significance and potential that his life can be that causes Death to take up the mindset that Puss will not cherish the remaining life that he has, hence as to why he is doing a favor by taking it away from him. He believed that Puss does not deserve the lives that he was given, since all the acts that he accomplished was for the sake of upholding his legend of Puss in Boots and not anything else. Life is precious and fragile, where if one were to take it for granted and misuse it, it can cause an individual to harbor a feeling of regret and despair due to the things that they are missing out in the early stages of their life and the potential growth that they could have.
I need to get my lives back. Without them, I am not.
What? The legend?
As far as we know Puss, he was considered as a carefree character with a calm and confident demeanor, no matter the circumstances that he was in. An arrogant little legend that thought that he was immortal, but now his character takes a complete turn to one that is filled with the fear of death and desperation to regain the rest of his lives back to his possession. When people realize that they could have done more in their life or made a mistake that had a significant impact on their character, they tend to have the desire or wish to restart their life anew, so that they can have the opportunity to amend those mistakes and make sure to not let them happen again. However, this could not be accomplished, as in reality, the life we live could not be given back to us through a mere wish, nor can it ever be reverted back to us. Not knowing this, and in his utmost desperate moments, Death comes face to face with Puss as he contemplates whether to run away to the wish of more lives or fight for his right to live his final life as the fear of death sets in once again. Through the final encounter with Death, Puss was forced to make a decision that could cost him his life, and because of this, It made Puss spiral down into the recollection of his memories and starts to value the moments that he had lived. In addition, he reflects on the missed opportunity he had to make the very best out of his 8 lives that he originally had, but evidently took them for granted and did whatever he thinks that can help him live up to the great legend that he upheld. He also managed to recall some of the fondest memories that he had with his friends and companions, both new and old, to relish the memories that he had made. It's because of the fear that death had induced into Puss that allowed him to realize how delicate life can be, especially considering that he was down to his last one. It sort of opens the window of opportunity for Puss to stop his escape from death and to prove to death that he will continue to fight for the remaining life that he has now. But ultimately, death is a stage that is inevitable and it comes for all of us at the end. No matter how many lives we have, we will come face to face with death someday. That is the entire ordeal of mortality that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish portrays to its audience.
Live your life, Puss in Boots. You know we will meet again, right?
See.
That about wraps up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I love making this video for you guys. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out on my channel. It'll be a great support. On top of that, I would like to hear some of your thoughts and comments about the series in the comment section below. With all that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.